What's up, gamer? My name's Luco, and today I'm going to show you how to get through Act 5 of Path of Exile 1's campaign faster. As a quick disclaimer, this is not meant to be a super optimal guide for speedrunners to clear through the whole campaign in 2 hours flat. It's meant for beginner and intermediate players to share the tricks that I use and the paths that I take in each act to speed things up as someone who takes 5 to 7 hours on average to go from the beginning of the campaign to the end. After going through the portal at the end of Act 4, you'll emerge on the other side in a zone called the Slave Pens in a city called Oriath. You need to reach the end of this zone to get to the town in Act 5, so from your landing spot, head towards the right side of the zone and follow the path. To get from the beginning to the end of the Slave Pens, you basically have to run in a big U shape. When you get to the other end of the U, you'll find a mini-boss named Overseer Crow. Kill him, and a ladder will fall down from the top of the wall next to him. Go up that ladder, and you'll be in the Overseer's Tower, better known as Act 5's town. Talk to Lania when you load in, and she'll give you a piece of jewelry as a reward for beating the Overseer. From there, head toward the top left of town and go through the door to the control blocks. This zone is pretty massive and can be confusing to navigate, but movement skills like Flame Dash or Leap Slam can make it a lot easier. To start, go toward the top left away from the entrance. If you find your path blocked by a wall or anything like that, always go around their left sides and keep going toward the top left until you find an iron fence like this one. Normally, you can't use movement skills to go through these fences, but if you find a section where it's all broken like this, then your skill will actually let you jump through the gaps whether you're jumping up or down. Use your chosen movement skill to jump down into the trough, then run directly across it and look for another section of broken fence to jump up through on the other side. After you jump back up, keep running to the top left while sticking to the left edge of the zone until you find this box of experimental supplies. Jump down through the fence, open the box, and grab the Miasmator quest item that falls out. After that, jump back up through the fence and start running toward the top right side of the zone. Eventually, you'll find another iron fence with some broken sections, and you want to do the same thing you did last time. Jump down through the gap, run across it, and jump back up the other side. Once you're back up, start running toward the bottom right side of the zone along the fence. Eventually, you'll hit a wall, and your only option will be to turn left. Take that left, take one more left at the next iron fence, then follow the path to a small arena where you have to fight another mini-boss. Kill him, take the eyeballs that he drops, and keep following the path. It'll take you a little further toward the top of the zone, then eventually lead to a door. Go through it, and you'll find yourself in the Oriath Square. At the first fork in the road, take the path on the right, then when you reach the city square, keep running toward the top right side of the zone. Eventually, you'll find a small bridge going over a canal. Go over that bridge and take the first right that you see, then keep following that path until you find the door to the Templar Courts. When you enter the zone, run from the door toward the right corner. You'll have to navigate through some doors and hallways, but before too long, you should find your way into this wide open auditorium area. From there, start running toward the bottom corner of the zone until you find the auditorium's exit, then start running to the bottom left, and keep going left until you find the door to the Chamber of Innocence. This zone is level 43, and it's got a ton of densely packed monsters in it, with a good amount of rare and magic monsters mixed in. If you find yourself below level 40 when you reach this zone, it's a good idea to take some time to kill lots of monsters as you run through, until you reach anywhere from level 40 to 42, even if you have to reset and re-clear the zone once or twice to do it. As for the path, run down from the door to grab the waypoint, then turn toward the top left and follow the path leading to that side of the zone. From there, just keep following that path in a big circle all the way around the whole area until you reach the next boss room. The last room before the boss tends to have an exceptionally high amount of magic and rare monsters in it, so make sure to clear that room in particular before going to either fight the boss or reset the zone. If you do want to re-clear the zone, go back to town, click on the waypoint. If you're on PC, hold down the control button and click the waypoint for the Chamber of Innocence, or if you're on console, mouse over the Chamber of Innocence on the map and press the triangle button if you're on PlayStation or the Y button if you're on Xbox. Then click on the option for a new instance in whichever menu opens up based on your platform. When you load in, everything will be reset. After you decide you've cleared enough and it's time to fight the boss, go through the door to the Sanctum of Innocence. Innocence is one of the more challenging bosses in the campaign, particularly for new players who aren't used to the game's movement yet. The most difficult thing about him is that he has a beam attack in his second phase that tracks your character very accurately no matter where you run. To avoid it, you need to stand very close to him and keep running circles around him until the attack finishes. If you're too far away, you won't be able to get around him faster than he can track you, but if you're really close, it's actually very easy to avoid. As you get his health down in both phases, he'll take a little time out and summon some ads for you to fight, kill them until he feels like fighting again, and he'll run out of health eventually. The only other mechanic you really need to look out for is in the second phase when he says, "I am your god," and throws a giant slow-moving orb. This orb promptly begins shooting out tons of projectiles in some sort of crazy bullet hell pattern. It can be very annoying to avoid, and it does a ton of damage, but thankfully there's a very simple trick to evade it all. When you hear him say the voice line, simply use a portal scroll and go back to town. Sit there and wait for about 10 seconds, go back through the portal, and most or all of the projectiles should be gone. From there, the rest of the fight should be pretty trivial. After he is dead, run out the door on the bottom right side of the room, then run up and use the waypoint to go back to town. Talk to Valenta in the top right to turn in the miasmeter and get a skill point. Talk to Lonnie to get a utility flask as a reward for beating the mini-boss at the end of the slave pens, and a jewel as a reward for beating Innocence. Then use the waypoint again to go back to the Chamber of Innocence. Run through the door at the top of the room, and as you approach, a big meanie named Bannon will yell obscenities at you, but you can feel free to ignore him and keep running. When you go back through the door, you'll find yourself in the same zone you were in before reaching the Chamber of Innocence, except everything's on fire. All you have to do is follow the same path you did last time, except backwards. Go toward the top right until you find the auditorium, run to the top corner of that room, then turn left after finding the hallway, and go that way until you find the exit. Go through the door and you'll end up back outside in the ruined square where everything has gone a little crazy. Follow the path directly in front of the door and run in a square, then take a left when you get to the last corner. Keep going down that road until you find a waypoint and the entrance to the ossuary, then go inside. Not far from the entrance, you should see a green lever on your minimap and an unclaimed recipe for your crafting bench. These two icons mark where your objective is, but you can't run directly to them from the entrance. You need to go in a big circle or square around the zone and find them from the other side. When you do make your way around, click on the Tomb of the First Templar and grab the Sign of Purity quest item that falls out. After that, pull the lever, grab the crafting recipe, and run back out the door to the ruined square. Once you're outside, go back onto the main road and run toward the bottom left side of the zone. Eventually, you'll cross a bridge over a small canal and come out to a wide open area. Once you reach the open area, run directly toward the bottom of the screen. If you reach a wall, keep running down along that wall and follow it until it leads you to the entrance of a zone called the Reliquary. Once again, we need to clear through this zone by running in a giant square. Go down the first set of stairs, run along the wall on the top left side of the room, and keep following that wall to each corner of the zone. Each corner, other than the entrance, has a quest item in it for the Kitava's Torments quest, and you need them all for a skill point. So keep running until you've found all three, then go back to town and talk to Lonnie to turn them in. After that's done, use the waypoint in town to go back to the waypoint in the ruined square, and run down the same path you took to reach the wide open city square last time. After crossing the bridge, instead of running down, you'll want to run along the top left wall until it lets you run directly up. When it does, keep running with it until you find the scaffolding and ladder to the Cathedral Rooftop. This is the last zone before the final boss of Act 5, and thankfully, it's pretty simple. It's just one big wide pathway, and you can basically run right up the center until you reach the boss's arena. There may be some pitfalls and walls in the way here and there, but they're relatively straightforward to walk around. When you get to the end, go through the door to the Cathedral Apex and click on the Cradle of Purity to fight Kitava. I said earlier that Innocence is one of the harder bosses in the campaign. Kitava is probably one of the few that are more difficult than him, especially if you aren't familiar with his mechanics. The biggest issue with him is that all of his hits deal pretty large amounts of damage since he is a pretty large statue and all, so you just have to get used to dodging as many of the attacks as possible, and there's no particular trick to doing that like there was with Innocence's beams and bullet hells. The one saving grace is that dying does not reset your progress against this boss unless you're playing hardcore, in which case good luck. If you are in softcore and you die, just hit the resurrect at checkpoint button and you'll be directly outside the boss room. All you have to do is click on the door you spawn next to and you'll be right back in the thick of things where you left off. He has a bunch of phases to get through, but when you beat the last one, he falls down, then comes back a couple seconds later with a big red makeover and knocks your character out. This character Sin swoops in to save the day, and you wake up in a different area of the zone outside the cathedral. Run to the left side of this zone, go down the dock, then onto the boat and talk to my personal least favorite NPC in the game, Lily Roth. Click on the option she gives you to sail to Ray class, and that will bring you to the start of Act 6. That's the entire act, and those are the paths that I take. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments or in my chat while I'm live both here and on Twitch. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more like it. If you want to see similar guides for the other acts, then I'll put them in a playlist and link them in the description and the pinned comment down below. Lastly, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.